So I was going through some of my notes and looking at the calendar for the content schedule upcoming in the next few weeks, and it dawned on me that we never really touched on one area of discussion still for Modern Warfare 3. A new mode coming, and then what unfortunately may mean the introduction is then phasing out another mode. So today I wanted to take some time to discuss that about Modern Warfare 3 to take a deep dive into what the future may hold. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. What do you think will happen in Modern Warfare 3? Do you think we'll see support continue for all these modes that we're used to right now and more? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 3, XDefiant, and continued coverage of the current Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone. I'd love to have you in the community if you'd like to stay up to date with all that kind of stuff. And finally, check out my friends over at G Fuel for 30% off certain items in the month of September, but more on that a little later. For now, let's jump into the discussion at hand. So the mode that is being introduced that we never quite covered and really got around to talking about was zombies in Modern Warfare 3. The first time we'll see zombies in the Modern Warfare universe, or now the shared Call of Duty universe, but it's something that is going to be formatted much differently compared to what we're used to with zombies, much more focused on a sort of Outbreak style open world. But honestly, whenever I take a look at this kind of stuff, when I look at zombies and what people may be expecting, a lot of players may be hoping to go back to that sort of round-based return to form for the next Black Ops game or whatever Treyarch is cooking up for 2024. So if there's any year to really experiment with stuff, honestly, I'm okay with it being this year because I don't think too many people really had any expectations before the announcement here that we'd be getting zombies in this year at all. So if there's a year to experiment at all, it'd be this one for me. But anyways, in terms of details, it's something that's described as an all-new open world experience with a philosophy to combine the Modern Warfare game systems and features with the expected Treyarch Zombies experience. Sledgehammer described it in conjunction with a partnership with Treyarch that it's the largest PvE experience we've seen to date, with core gameplay changes to utilize the big map, and that it's exclusively going to be player versus environment. Now, of course, there was mention of squads of upwards of 6 instead of 4, with a total of 24 players in the world as planned for launch. So we don't know if that's going to be something that we'll see griefing like you could back in the grief mode from Black Ops 2, because there are apparently going to be no PvP elements. The other oddity is that it's going to be extraction based in the gameplay loop, where you can end up completing missions, contracts, and so on, earning essence or currency in game to then be able to spend on different upgrades like ammo depots, buy stations, pack-a-punch, perk machines, wall buys, mystery boxes, and more, with the overall goal to keep you to come back game over game, not just completing everything you want to do in one singular match. Matches are only limited to 1 hour in game time as a result, so you can stay in there for an hour, but then you'll end up having the zone close in on you where you do have to exfil. The map itself will have various different difficulty levels, with zones for low threat zones where it's essentially safe, there's human faction AI to interact with, to, as they put it, enrich the experience. Medium threat zones, which are safe-ish, but human factions are there, plus special zombies and regular zombies. And the high threat zones are the most dangerous zones where there's no human AI, but there's a ton of elite zombies and more. There's encampments, strongholds, and fortresses around the map. You have perks that appear to be similar from, say, Cold War, but also you could end up using one-time acquisitions or get schematics for things that can be built out of match that allow players to create those things in-game and have a bigger head start. Things like the Juggernog can, Death Perception can, a ray gun case, Brain Rot and Napalm Burst ammo mods, refined Ethereum crystals, and more. So there's a lot to it when it comes to a different gameplay loop. Again, a lot more player-driven on that focus on how you want to accomplish things versus just a linear round one to however long you can survive and an Easter egg along the way. But here's the thing. Doesn't that all sound pretty familiar? Well, if you're following along and you think it sounds like DMZ, well, you're not alone. When I was typing these out at Sledgehammer, we were going through this presentation, I literally have a note here that says, okay, so this is essentially DMZ, but for zombies. And when you consider it, there's a ton of direct crossover here listed just from those notes in the presentation they gave us. That it's played on the same large-scale map. DMZ is found in Al Mazrah, as well as other infill locations, but initially speaking, it was introduced in specifically Al Mazrah, which was shared with Battle Royale. That was stated verbatim, utilizes the big map. So whatever the next Warzone map, likely Urzikstan, or what seems to be a reformation of Las Almas, into Urzikstan. There was mention of special story missions that, air quote, take place on private versions of the map. So my guess, kind of springboarding like how Koshi Complex takes you to a different area in Al Mazrah and DMZ. There's factions to follow with missions. It's extraction based at its core. There's a timer per match, DMZ being 20 minutes until the radiation spreads versus 1 hour with zombies. There's different types of zones, albeit formatted slightly differently. Like the way that they describe the zombie zones are that it's ringed around the map, and the closer you get towards the center of the map, that's the more dangerous areas, with the more safer regions being on the outside, progressively getting inward, again, more difficult, versus random hot zones in DMZ. But you also have things like strongholds and fortresses. There's friendly versus enemy AI. There's story missions to dictate the narrative. So there's a lot of crossover here, and where does that leave DMZ? Because as it stands, looking at that list of crossovers, there's a lot of redundancies here. Now, full transparency, there have been no details shared for the plans of DMZ just yet in an official capacity. We have seen details already for a couple of different things moving forward, like carry forward content for Modern Warfare 2 going into Modern Warfare 3. We know a little bit about the plans here upcoming for Warzone and the Modern Warfare 3 integration. It seems like we're going to be seeing some of those mechanics coming over into Warzone 2, or I guess now just Warzone. We know that we're going to be getting another map here upcoming with the Season 1 launch, presumably within Modern Warfare 3, among some other things. But for DMZ, there's nothing so far, especially officially speaking. There has been whispers from industry insiders, but it doesn't seem to be the information that we want to see when it comes to DMZ fans. Now, one part that kind of reinforces the unfortunate nature that maybe this mode will actually be cut, the DMZ will be sunsetted off here, and that we won't see too much support going forward, is that, well, Infinity Ward is at the helm for DMZ. I mean, we have different studios for all the other major areas of the game. Warzone is predominantly handled by Raven now. Map creation in recent months have come down to Beenox and High Moon for Warzone. Ranked is upheld by Treyarch. Infinity Ward was only managing multiplayer, which I'll still say I still think there is very little of that. Seemingly in recent seasons, not even a whole ton of original content and maps. I mean, Season 4, we had Vondel ports the entire time, but they were handling raids as well. Those ended in Season 4, and then DMZ, which support for that has kind of subsided when you look at this season compared to the last few. There was a laundry list of adjustments and additions each season, and then Season 5 and Season 5 Reloaded was, I'd wager, the smallest yet when it comes to updates for DMZ. So yes, we did get some new stuff, absolutely, and we did just get a new mastery grind introduced in the way of the Serpentine camo, but realistically, are they going to keep up with it? The one thing that obviously every main developer does is that they transition from the game that they were working on that was in the year of support and then immediately go and work on their next project. Now, whether that be 2025, 2026, we don't know exactly what year that'll be just yet, in which we see Infinity Ward back for a presumed Modern Warfare 4, but usually when it comes to the main developer gearing up for their next project, it's all hands on deck after their main year of support. Vanguard support was dropped because Sledgehammer had to come in and do Modern Warfare 3. Black Ops Cold War, once Vanguard launched, Treyarch went all hands on deck outside of the ranked and zombies teams now working elsewhere. Those, albeit smaller teams by comparison to the larger unit as a whole, they're all working on COD 2024. Infinity Ward went from Modern Warfare 2019 and touched absolutely nothing until Modern Warfare 2. So these main developers will always turn around and start working on their next project. So if that's the case, we're already seeing little multiplayer content. We're already seeing that raids have finished up and we're not getting any more of that. Well, what's that mean for DMZ? Now, the only potential upside I can see that maybe allows us to see more support going forward, and that maybe it's taken over by another studio, is that, well, Zombies is a part of the paid offering for Modern Warfare 3 upcoming. It's the co-op third mode for Modern Warfare 3, whereas DMZ is currently tethered to Warzone as a free-to-play mode that doesn't require any paid entry point as a co-op mode would. Instead, that's part of the right now Warzone offering. Because of that, maybe there is the possibility of it being upkept, but again, with whispers pointing towards the opposite, with all these redundancies we see with Zombies having so much crossover with DMZ, from industry insiders, it's being said that we're going to see DMZ sunsetted off, that we're going to see maybe not the entire removal of the game mode, but instead absolutely no support after this main year of content. So while I absolutely would love to see DMZ continue to thrive, to be picked up by another studio, and to see it continually supported, will that happen? Right now, I think it's a very valid thought to consider that maybe it won't. So as much as I would love to see it continue, and I'd love to share that good news that it will be, We just don't know right now. And with the prospect of, again, less content over the last season here, and Infinity Ward potentially gearing up for their next project again in 2025, 2026, whenever that may be, and no real studio to take it over at the moment, the future is at the very least uncertain. So wanted to chat with you guys here about this and let you know about where DMZ may be going. Instead of a PvPvE, it may just turn into Zombies PvE and the lore behind all that. I do think that Zombies has the potential to be very cool in that regard, but will it fill that void for the casual extraction shooter that a lot of players really came to love with DMZ? That's for time to tell, but want to fill you guys in on the situation at the moment and where we are in this current moment in time. But for now, that is what we're going to call it. Before we wrap everything up, make sure you check out my friends over at G Fuel. Code Espresso gets you 30% off certain items in the month of September, like Hype Sauce tubs, Hibiscus tea tubs, starter kits even. So if you guys want to try something out for the very first time or grab a restock, now is as best a time as any. Code Espresso getting you up to 30% off, linked down below. But for now, that's what we're going to call it. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you guys think of this year? Do you want to see DMZ continue to be upkept and supported throughout 2023, 2024, and onwards? Or do you think that it will be something that is sunsetted off into the distance and that we don't get any support after this main year here with Modern Warfare 2? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay there with all things Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, DMZ, Warzone, XDefiant, and more. We've got you covered here on the channel, so I'd love to have you in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.